This is Out Loud and Laughing. What is up, chosen fam? Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Today, we are completely bypassing the usual high energy antics because honestly, we need to behave. But our guest today is the ultimate definition of an LGBTQ bon vivant, a Boston-based lifestyle maven, a sharp-witted viral content creator, and quite frankly, the man who ensures our feeds stay immaculate, well-traveled, and properly caffeinated. He is officially in his husband era and somehow balances being a brilliant digital creator with a real-life eye for food, fashion, and culture. Chosen fam, please welcome to the pod, the one and only AJ Hernandez. Welcome, AJ.
Thank you. What an intro. Before we hit you with some of our deep dive questions, because John and I had done our research, we just want to take a second to actually get to know the man behind the gorgeous grid. So for our listeners who are meeting you for the first time today, give us a little backstory. Where did you grow up? How did you find your way into becoming Boston's go-to lifestyle culture expert? Give us the tea, AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am not from New England. I
Yep.
am from California. I grew up in Southern California. In a smaller suburb of LA, but close to Anaheim's like Disneyland, for those of you who know, like
Yep.
geographically where that is. But I lived there like my entire life until I was 18. And then I decided that I needed like a big change. I had like lived in this bubble my entire life, and something deep down inside me just said to get out and experience something different. And so I actually just happened to end up like the farthest possible place away from Southern California, which is Boston. I went to Boston College, spent my 4 years there, wonderful 4 years, got a job out of college in Boston. And then that's sort of, all she wrote. The longer I stayed here, the more it became home, and the more I sort of planted roots here. Like met friends, and then eventually met my husband in Boston, and we've lived together there now for 6 years. And so, like I said, it is very much home. And yeah, at New England, I always say that, like I am a New England boy. I was born in like on the West Coast. Like my soul is from New England, I think.
Where inside of that journey, because I can't wait to talk to you about your new marriage. Congratulations. But
Thank you.
where in that journey was becoming Boston's go-to like
Mm.
lifestyle and cultural expert like happening for you? Like when did you decide to sort of start curating like this life that you had found in Boston?
Yeah, that's a good question. It kind of just happened. So really started posting on social media, particularly Instagram, like when I moved here, um, really just as a way to stay connected with people back home and sort of keep them up to date on like what I was doing, where I was going. So kind of using it as like a digital diary. And that's sort of just evolved into like posting more and more. And then one day a brand slid into my DMs and they were like, hey, we're looking to launch our product in the Boston, like New England market, but we noticed that there aren't a lot of male creators. It was like a grooming, I think it was like
Hmm.
shampoo, something, but they're like, there are not a lot of creators in this, like the wellness grooming space in
Sure.
that
Hmm.
market. So like, how would you feel about doing something on like trade? And that was like my first brand collaboration, and it was just I had a lot of fun doing it, and then slowly started doing more of those here and there, and then yeah, now I'm getting to go to restaurant openings and travel and do all this really cool stuff that I never sort of set out to do, but I'm so fortunate and like have so much fun doing it. But yeah, it kind of just happened. But I just sort of rolled with it, and here we are.
It's so fascinating because when we look at some of the platforms that you're active on, and well, I should probably talk about one that you're probably not as active on a little bit later, but they seem to possess this seamless blend of high-end aesthetics, like local coffee spots and incredible
Mhm.
food reviews. But like you also have this other side, right? Like Twitter and TikTok is full of brilliantly sharp and unapologetically queer sense of humor. And you've gone viral for some of the most iconic, hyper relatable pop culture memes, right? So how do you balance being this polished lifestyle expert on the other side of being this inner chaotic, witty gay man on Twitter?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it works because like I I'm not trying to be, at least I hope I don't come across like I'm trying to be like
Mhm.
like an influencer robot. Like I don't even really like the word influencer. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times it carries this like connotation that like I try to distance myself from, because I'm very much not trying to be this like overly like, yes, I love aesthetics. Yes, I like nice things, right? I like a nice hotel. I like a nice restaurant. I like fashion and design, but I'm also like a gay man in his 30s whose sense of humor was shaped by like
Yeah.
growing up in the closet, right? And like there's this,
Yep.
we all have this there's this trauma that we can pull from. And so I think like, yes, I I want part of my content to feel aspirational sometimes, and maybe performing a little bit, but I'm also like spiraling in like the comment section and like yeah, I don't know, like one like I just think I think the funniest people online, the people that I like, whose content I create, are the people who understand that like aesthetics is fun and great, but like there's also so much joy and in the chaos and the absurdity. I just feel like it makes it feel a lot more real and relatable, and that's
And
sort
I
of like
think
the
John and I have
content that
talked
I'm
about
trying to
this on the
create.
pod too. Like, if you curate too much, you lose your authenticity, right? So you're yeah, as long as you 100% stick to who
Yeah.
you are, then that's
100%.
going to be curated and polished, and you know,
Yeah, and I think like and all of the goodness that is like the aesthetics and the curated stuff, I do think that like queer humor specifically has this like really weird or cool ability to sort of like puncture the like pretentiousness really easily, right? And I
Hmm.
think Boston is like gets this reputation as this very conservative, like buttoned up city, and so it's fun to be able to like
yeah,
poke through that with some of this like very like niche, like nuanced gay humor, like right. A lot of us queer people grow up like learning how to read a room and code switch and adapt to like these different things. And so I think that just naturally creates people who are very observant and can pick up on these little things and that translates into like funny, like
well, I mean, I think it's
relatable
interesting, right?
content.
Because obviously you're heavily involved now with Meet Boston, which is really cool, and you're showcasing the city. And you just said it, like, right, Boston,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
while they are liberal, it's a conservative city in some ways too. But you've been able to like revolutionize its reputation a little bit by bringing a distinct kind of modern and queer energy to it. So, what's been the most rewarding part of stepping into that space as an out and proud creator, saying, "This is my city. We live beautifully in it. I'm a gay man. It's not just about the straight people."
Yeah,
Totally.
I think for me, I think the biggest thing for me is like when I think about growing up. Obviously, social media wasn't as much of a thing or a thing at all, right? Like, but thinking of like representation in media in general, I didn't see a lot of stories
Yeah.
or of like of people that looked like me, right? And I certainly not like like certainly not gay Latino men. Like and in like Latin culture, there's all this machismo, and so I grew up not seeing people who looked like me, and so I like to think that like the reason that I show up so like loudly in my content as a gay man, like sharing my life with my husband, is that like I'm just creating the kind of content I didn't grow up seeing, right? And so I think there's really something really healing about making queer joy and queer life visible in spaces where you might not have seen it growing up. And like there's power in taking up space as a queer creator in traditionally like buttoned up environments, right? And so I think what's been really rewarding for me is being able to show up and show that like life as an LGBTQ plus person isn't niche culture, right? We shape a lot of what is trending and what is happening and what is cool across like
Yeah.
food, nightlife, you name it. And I just think a city becomes infinitely better and the culture becomes infinitely more rich when people feel they have permission to participate in it. And so that's been the most rewarding thing is having the opportunity and the platform to be able to take up space as myself and hopefully be that representation that I didn't see when I was growing up for somebody else who is seeking it.
You brought up such an
Hmm.
interesting point, and one that is very relatable to Brian and I, the machismo sort of Spanish influence of our
Hmm.
culture, and it being sort of this influence of how we see the world and experience the world and show up for it. You know, as we get older, and I think what people really like don't give enough credit to is when you talk about like generational growth for especially for immigrant families, we're a first generation ourselves. When
Mhm.
you don't see people who look like you on television growing up, and you don't see people who are speaking to the life that is authentic to you, I think that it is the most profound thing to go out and make that space for yourself. You know, Brian and I have found so many wonderful people like yourself on through this platform of creating a space of joy and talking
Mhm.
about it. How was it for you and how rewarding, right, is it for you to sort of like be the carrier of this content and being the person to like really produce it and put it out there? How does it feel? What does it do for you? And how is it helping your journey heal personally?
Yeah, I think I mean, I've had people and, like, I've had people reach out from, like, high school who, you know, younger than me, but, like, we were both like, I didn't come out until, like, much later in life, like, after I graduated from college, but, like, I've had people from high school reach out to me and be like, seeing you do this and just, like, show up so authentically was so healing for me, and, like, even I think, like, that in itself is healing, right? Because I think, like, I obviously know, like, what that person was going through and so it's one, it's validating that, like, that experience was a shared experience because like, when I before I was out, when I was in the closet, I didn't obviously wasn't talking to anyone about, like, these things, and so I think that's probably the most healing part is, like, having those conversations in retrospect where it's like, yeah, like, I couldn't talk about this with anyone, but then, like, getting to talk about how it's helped someone else, it's like I am talking to that version of me that, like, couldn't have those conversations at the time, and, yeah, it's just, like, when I like, being in these spaces and getting to do things like this, right, where I get to connect with other, like, LGBTQ people who are living out and living loudly, like, it's just I don't know, it's the thing that, like, is the most motivating, I think, especially when, like 'cause, like, burnout's very real, and I'm sure you guys feel the way this way too, right? There are days when, like,
Hmm.
you just don't want to, right? But, like
Yes.
but, like, it's that the knowing in the back of my head that, like, I in doing this get to be that, like, beacon or that, like, hope for someone else who might not be quite here yet is the thing that's like, "Okay, like, I can do it. Like, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna keep doing it." I don't know, I just think it's like, a really cool thing that evolved out of this thing that I was just kind of doing for fun. Like, I never imagined that this is, like, where it would sort of take me, but I it's a really powerful thing, and I don't take the opportunity, I don't take it lightly. Like there's so yeah, and I hope that comes through in my content. But I think it's yeah, it's showing up for people who maybe can't are not there yet or like don't see themselves represented and I think getting to connect with those people, like I said, it's like talking to a younger version of myself who like wasn't able to have those conversations
I
because
mean,
I
I
wasn't
think
ready.
what's beautiful about that is, like John and I, we've also been on this journey. And I wonder, before we go into some stuff about, your more recent announcements, but where was your family on this journey with you? Because John and I dealt with like our parents were supportive but questionable. Took them a while to lean in. It's the Cuban thing where, religion, all the
Hmm.
things. So what's been your journey around some of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I am so fortunate that like my family
Yeah.
was like very accepting like immediately. It was a little bit of the like we kind of thought like we weren't 100% surprised.
Sure.
Like I definitely got that from like my sister and like and so that was really nice, and so I'm, like, so fortunate that my coming out experience with my family, was so wonderful, and I recognize that, like, that's not the same for everyone, right? Um, but, yeah, it was I think it was at the end of the day, the struggle or the fear, the hesitation to come out was more of like an internal thing that like I was projecting my own insecurities onto the people that I was going to come out to. And like, it's also at this, I think it's a very common thing, right? Where like before you come out, and I think this was the biggest hurdle for me was like, I was worried that like once I came out, that was going to be the one thing that like defined me when everyone looked at me, right? Like I felt that I had accomplished so many things up until that point, and that if once I said the words I'm gay, none of that was going to matter anymore. And so but again, I think I was like projecting my own insecurities about being out on the people that I was going to come out to. So yeah, like my parents are so incredibly loving and so incredibly supportive. I think sure there was like a learning curve, if you want to call it that, right? Like it's all like as accepting and loving as my parents have always been, uh, you know, towards the LGBTQ community. It's also
Yeah.
different when it's your kid, or it's like when
Mhm.
it, like anything, it's different when it like impacts you personally. And so there was that little bit of like a learning curve, right? Where like they certainly had questions about things. And like I had like dated girls in high school. And so they were like, what do you mean you're gay? Like you dated girls before? Like those kinds of questions, right? And so it's like, all right, like let me bring you along on this journey. Like that's called a beard, mom. Like right, like I never really actually liked her, but like we were friends,
Yeah.
but like we were friends, you know. But so like those kinds of things, but like in general, my family has just been like so wonderful and so incredibly supportive throughout the entire thing, and especially now, like
Yeah.
with my supportive of me and my husband, and just getting to I know we'll get there, but like having just recently gone through that entire wedding process was just it was just so wonderful. Like I'm so lucky.
No, we absolutely can switch gears and talk about that personal milestone. You know, your bio proudly states that you now are officially in your husband era. We sort of leaked that
Yes.
at the beginning, so congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
of course. And the wedding content, like you were just mentioning, it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Of course. In a world of social media, though, where the dating culture is so heavily dominated by the apps, of course, and the endless single guy content, what has it been like transitioning your public platform into showcasing queer joy, marriage, and building a life with your partner? I had to ask because I was wondering if you felt any pressure about sharing that side of your life. And I'm also interested about around how your family supports you in that space.
Yeah, that's so I got some really interesting advice like at this like when we got engaged. Not even specific to like sharing my life as a like a gay man getting married, just in general, like about someone
Sure.
getting married. And the advice was like, make sure you save
Yes.
parts of this process just for you and John. And I thought that was just like so like smart. I was so excited to like sort of transition my content to like the wedding planning and like to again to be able to like show up as a gay man planning a wedding and sort of share that journey. But I throughout the entire thing, and especially the more that I share parts of our relationship online, I try to go back to that idea that like some of this stuff is sacred, right? Like once you post everything for everyone, like nothing is sacred anymore. And so there are certainly throughout the process there were things that I wanted to keep like just for us. But I think, in terms of like sharing the wedding and sort of our relationship, sort of goes back a little bit to like lack of representation, but also when there was representation, it was gay people written as stereotypes, or it like hypersexualized or like completely invisible. There wasn't a lot of like that in between. And so getting to share those like domestic moments or like snippets of my life as a gay married man, that feels joyful and funny and normal is important to me. Like I think people connect to those little more like normal, mundane moments because I think that's what real intimacy like looks like.
Yep.
And again, like it always for me comes back to this idea about, you know, it's somewhat radical to still, unfortunately, to like show up that way and show like again, like gay life isn't that niche. Certainly there are like parts to like a gay relationship that like a straight couple wouldn't have to navigate, right? But like they're like, we're not, at the end of the day, like we're not that different. And so that's I think that's where I like to focus a lot of my content. There is like the parts of our lives that sort of look like every other marriage, but like with a little bit of nuance. I think the internet, like I think people have responded really well to that, and like, yes, gay life is fabulous, and we throw great dinner parties, but like sometimes it's also just like me and my husband coming home after work and opening the fridge and being like,
Of
oh, we
course.
don't have a plan. Like, what are we doing for dinner? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like it's and I think like my content has evolved a little bit too, as like into like, here's just like a life that I'm genuinely trying to live, and I think people sort of are like receiving that, I think, really really well. And yeah, like my family just has been so supportive throughout the whole thing. And um yeah, I just think it's we don't there's enough like curated perfection online, and I think it needs, I think people just like are sort of craving a little bit more like honesty and authenticity, and like I said, I think people can feel the difference.
You're absolutely spot on. And I find it actually really interesting that you bring up this idea around people thinking that gay people's lives are so different. While that's like actually quite flattering, it's exhausting to sort of upkeep. And so
Right.
it's like it's really important for people to realize that, the relationships that we make, regardless of whether they're personal or
Same.
familial or platonic or whatever, they're all the fucking same. So thanks for reminding us of that, AJ. And you've been such a joy to chat with, but we wouldn't be out loud and laughing if we didn't put our friends in the hot seat, which you are about to embark on. And we have a signature tradition here on the podcast. We play a little game called This or That. And because you are the blueprint for elevated queer living, we have tailored this one specifically for you, and we're calling it This or That, the Boston Bon Vivant edition. So, of course, don't overthink it. Just give us your gut reaction and feel free to get as queer and honest with it as you want. I'm
Fine.
going to kick us off, Brian. Is that all right? It's time for another round of This or That, the unhinged get to know you game. All right. Would you prefer, AJ, to be in a hidden gem dive bar or be at a 5-star tasting menu?
Hidden gem
I
dive
love
bar,
that you were so
100%.
quick with that one,
Love
AJ.
it.
Oh yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
I didn't even need to know what the second option
I
was.
kind of agree
hidden
too. I
dive
need something that's
100%
simple.
all
That's
the way.
just I agree. Okay. Do you prefer the espresso martini or crisp natural wine? Yeah, it's
Espresso martini.
the trend.
They've really made a comeback.
They have.
Yes,
Espresso martini,
100%.
but like with
I've had one with
tequila.
mezcal. Didn't hate it.
Oh,
Mhm.
interesting. Is there a name for the espresso martini with tequila? Like, do you have to say it with an accent?
Yeah, I think you just have to like say it with like a little extra flair or something.
Yeah. I'll have an espresso martinez, please. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, espresso Martinez, maybe.
Yeah. There's the joke. That's great.
Yeah.
Are you a scruff kind of guy or a no scruff kind of guy?
Scruff.
Like a little masculine man.
Yeah, yeah.
Does your husband have a beard?
He doesn't. He has like good like scruff, but like not like a full beard situation.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my internet got cut off.
Did you get cut off?
Can you guys hear me?
That's
Oh,
okay,
no.
no problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, I didn't hear or see
Yeah,
anything.
start with
so
scruff or no
let's
scruff,
finish
and then
scruff or no
we can get back
scruff.
into
I'll
it.
do cut. No. We're gonna
And I'll
keep
do mine?
that, and then I'm gonna do cut here.
Love it.
Cut.
Okay, cool.
Yep, go ahead. Cut.
Okay, AJ, butt guy or chest guy?
Yes. Oof.
Yeah, heated rivalry.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's really true. The butt and the espresso martinez have made a comeback.
Yeah. I just did
Are
an
you
article recently that was like the secret to like
I'm
longevity
dying
for
soon.
men is like a big butt. And it was in like the Wall Street Journal
I
or
have never
something.
had
I was
one.
like, all right,
We always thought that I'd be the first to go
My bad.
first, but according to that, I'm here for a long time. Okay, AJ, back to the game. Are you an early morning run kind of guy, or are you sleeping until noon?
I am not a morning. I'm an aspiring morning gym person.
I love that.
I will. Yeah, taking sleep in over getting up and working out
I
every single
am
day
the
of the
complete
week.
opposite,
Easy
and
enough.
because of my children. Shower or bath?
Sha Bath, but like then
Mhm.
immediately
Yep.
followed by a
It's the right
shower.
formula.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I That question gets such a visceral response, and I think what people don't understand is that like baths aren't necessarily meant to clean unless you're
No,
Yes.
like
it's like
sick.
I'm just like
Scrolling.
relaxing with like a glass of wine and a candle,
Yeah,
and then right,
yeah.
Yes.
scrolling, and then I can take my
100
shower and get clean.
Anytime I dive into a pool and somebody
correct.
says this feels like a bathtub, I said, "You're doing it wrong. Sorry."
Right.
Um, all right. We are going to go to the baseball diamond with you right now for a fun game of baseball. However, you get to choose your position. In
Mm.
this game, are you pitching or catching?
I like to think I'm like a good
Yeah.
utility player, so I think I can do both.
She's a shortstop, y'all.
Yeah, yeah, anywhere but the
Not a
bench. I
voyeur.
like to be part of the action all the time.
Not a
Uh,
Yeah.
cuck.
this question, the gays love sports. Okay.
That's great.
Boxers or briefs? I agree.
Briefs.
Although we have to update this question because we
Yeah,
ask, and
I
whenever we
do a
say
brief.
boxers, I think we need to
Mhm.
say boxer briefs because who the fuck is wearing boxers anymore?
Right.
We're really
Well,
trying to find
The
that one gay
Hanes
man who is
boxers?
like
yeah.
Yeah.
the faux pas.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you
There's some
know it has
stains
like a
on
hole,
it.
like
Oh,
a couple
yeah.
holes in it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sign me up. That's my favorite. Um, oh, I should probably go put some pants on. Are you looking for the bold statement fashion kind of look, or are you into the classic quiet of luxury?
Yeah.
I would say classic quiet.
Mhm.
Yeah. With maybe like a little something that like makes it interesting, but like generally I think like quiet, like
Like make the socks
A good
loud,
little
not the
pin.
yeah,
jacket.
like a fun sock or like,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, a lapel
If you were
pin.
John, it
Exactly.
would be
Yeah,
just
Brooch.
feathers.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, right. Yes, you will. Okay.
All right. I won't wear
Are we
feathers.
hosting the perfect dinner party or are we being the guest of honor? Mm-hmm.
Hosting the dinner party.
I would love to be at one of those, to be
Yes,
honest.
definitely.
Yeah. We should
Yeah.
make it happen sometime.
That's
Yeah.
not far
AJ,
off.
you're an absolute legend. Thank you for bringing your bright light, your
Yes.
incredible wit, your authentic queer joy to our studio today. You are officially a member of our chosen family.
Oh, thank you. This was wonderful.
You are absolutely welcome. We have to ask though, before we let you run back to your husband era, where can our chosen family find you online and look at your stunning guides and support everything you're working on and doing?
I'm on Instagram at AJ Hernandez. That one's easy. And then on TikTok, it's AJ Hernandez, all one
That.
word.
All right, chosen fam. That is our show for today. Remember to stay authentic, live your life out loud, keep laughing, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
This was Out Loud and Laughing. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, or wherever.